Hi, I'm Joel Hacker. I'm an incoming second-year law student at the University of Saskatchewan College of Law, and today I'm going to be answering some prospective law student questions through law school life and beyond. Let me preface these answers by saying that it's going to be probably more general advice, just because, when you get a short question, it's hard to know the entire context of where and when someone's asking here. Just wanted to preface it by saying that, and we're going to split this up into several segments. Got about a couple dozen questions here, so I'm going to try to answer these to the best of my ability. Getting right into it. Question 1, what year of our undergrad should we apply for law school? So ideally, you should pick when you want to apply to law school. The earliest you can apply is going to be the last year of your undergrad, depending on your institution. Again, this is something you really want to check with your university and the law school that you're applying to, what they require. For most in Canada, it's the earliest you can apply is your final year of undergrad, because then you'll have graduated and then you can apply. But for this, there's no right way to do this. Some people will go straight after undergrad. Personally, myself, I went straight after undergrad. Some people take years off, to either explore a different field of study or work in a different field, or any number of things, really. So it all depends on what you want to do and what your long-term and short-term goals are. There's no wrong answer for this, but the earliest will usually be your last year of undergrad. But again, this depends on your law school, so double check before you apply. Question 2, what does it take to get into a top law school? And what are the odds of getting into a top law school with a 3.5 GPA? So there's two questions here. With these GPA questions, we're going to probably stay away from these just because it's hard to know without having your entire application in front of someone, whether, to get into this grade prediction game and this application prediction game. We're probably going to stay away from that. But I will say that, people, it's not out of the question to get into any law school in Canada with 3.5 GPA, depending on your other factors in your application. So I wouldn't say that you're out of the running by any means. It's a competitive GPA is what I will say. And what does it take to get into a top law school? It takes the same thing as it would for any application. It takes high grades, a strong LSAT score, good volunteer and work experience, strong personal statement. I think regardless of what law school you want to go to, you want to strive for your best application possible and maximize your odds of getting into the school of your choice. So question 3, when should you start studying for the LSAT, and what's the best study advice you have? So again, no wrong or right answer here, but in my opinion, based on my own personal experience, I would say 3 to 6 months in advance of your test date is when you should start studying. This, there's so many factors here. Are you working? Are you still in school? If so, how much time do you really have to devote to the LSAT? What's your work schedule like? If you're working, are you volunteering somewhere? You got to evaluate your other time commitments before you can really say, oh, this is how much time you should study, and how much time are you studying within those weeks too. So I would say in general, 3 to 6 months seems standard, but again, it's going to depend on you and your situation. So for the second part, the best study advice I have, start early, pace yourself, make schedules for yourself and stick to them, because schedules are worthless unless you actually stick to them and abide by them. So make sure that's a huge part of it, is that you're holding yourself accountable. LSAT material, it's foreign to the majority of students. So you really need to give your mind the adequate time to process it and master it. Don't try to do too much in one day and scramble yourself up. The LSAT is a marathon and not a sprint, and so this is something you really want to be building on periodically and giving yourself the requisite time that you need to really immerse yourself in the content and the material so that you're learning it and mastering it. So that means not overdoing it, but also doesn't mean going weeks and weeks without looking at the material in general. So question 4, do you know any students who have children? Yes, several of my classmates do have children, actually. They tell me it's a balancing act because family is the number one priority, but they also came to law school with a purpose, as does everyone. So yes, it's possible to be there for both your family and to be, do what you have to do for your law school studies and jobs and whatnot. But this means managing your time becomes that much more critical than it already is for a law student. So if you have a supportive partner that can help with the children, even better.